I know you're probably watching this video thinking, yes, I attract so many emotionally unavailable men. I get into the same turmoil every single time I talk to a guy and it ends in a disaster. Well, what if I were to tell you why that happens and how to prevent it? What's going on, everybody? It's favorite dating coach Elliot Scott, and I just woke up and I am at the doctor's office because I have a sty in my eye. So I'm waiting, and while waiting, I'm thinking, you know what? Why not make a video? So I saw a comment the other day on something about emotionally unavailable men and how women come about those kind of men over and over and over again. And she was wondering why it's happening to her. So I kind of want to make a video on it that I can just refer people to kind of help them understand why they're attracting emotionally unavailable men, and that they're not so much the problem within the relationship, and that it's many other things. Okay, so here's my philosophy on it. Okay, I'm a big believer that emotionally unavailable people come from two things. One, when it comes to a relationship, it's filling a void. Okay, meaning when you usually jump in a relationship, there's happy, healthy people who get into one. Now, not everyone's perfect. That's not what I'm saying. But then there's people who are, again, emotionally unavailable. But that, I feel like that comes from several things. One, that comes from filling a void, right? You're trying to fill a void. You're going into a relationship for the wrong reasons, which we'll get more into that. And then secondly, it comes from a lot of insecurities, okay? And you can get those insecurities from past relationships, from lack of validation. It can be many things from your past, okay? But for men, most of the time, a guy, this isn't all men, this isn't 100% portion of the pie, but from my perspective, my experience, from what I see, a lot of men strongly have or put their self-worth heavily into how well they can attract women, satisfy women. And I don't mean that sexually, I just mean that physically, emotionally, just get a woman, right? And when a man can't get a woman so easily, I'm not saying it should be easily, but I mean, there's just times where a guy can go years without attracting a woman or having sex with a woman, or he just got out of a divorce and he hasn't dated anyone for years since, just whatever it is, okay? uh, he starts to question his masculinity. He starts to question his how well he can, again, attract a woman. Because usually, I mean, by definition, if you can't attract a guy or a woman, you're sterile by definition. You're sterile. You can't have kids. You can't have the options. You don't have the abundance and things like that. You're coming from a more scarce mindset. And usually when you're scarce, you're playing more in a frantic mode. So what these guys will usually do, this is why you see a lot of these guys online, you see a lot of these guys on dating apps and things like that, is they will go for emotionally unavailable women. Now, the way women get that way is a lack of confidence, insecurity, putting too much emphasis on the importance of relationship and things like that, to the point where she will lower her, I always call her barrier of entry. She will lower her value and lower her standards to let in, to bring a guy in. Okay, this guy might not be her type, but she wants to give it a shot. This guy might not be what she's looking for, or she might just get out of a relationship, so she wants to jump back into another one, and things like that. And what usually happens is, when it's a very insecure man or a emotionally unavailable man, and he sees that woman, he knows the chances of him being turned down, and the chances of him being pushed away are much lower, right? It comes down to risk. No one wants to just put themselves out there and get turned down, especially when you're emotionally unavailable. You're more fragile. You're hurt. You're emotionally fragmented, I guess. You're just not as stable. Okay, so when a guy sees a woman who is more willing to take him in because of her emotional instability, he's going to take advantage of that. And then she wonders why the guy never commits. Well, there's several reasons why. For one, he's not stable and ready for any relationship. He's trying to fill a void instead. And secondly, because you're in that state of mind, you're not going anywhere. And he knows that. You're not going to go anywhere. You want a relationship. You crave a relationship. You don't have the options, or you act like you don't at least. And a guy takes advantage of that because you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to leave him for another person. And like I said, you lowered your standards and you lowered your value. You know, there's no threat. There's no urgency, okay? So the reason you're bringing, this kind of sum this up, the reason you're bringing these kind of guys in your life is because of not only so much, it's not, I don't want to put the blame on you, but I don't want to say, oh, it's the guy's fault, because it's not. They're just emotionally unavailable men, okay? You can't help that. There's going to be that out in the world. But the reason you keep on attracting these type of men is because you're allowing them in and they're taking advantage of it, right? I always say the mind goes to the path of least resistance. And when he's not wanting a relationship, but he sees he can get that validation from you because you're so eager for one, it's easy for them, right? So I always tell women, gain the confidence. Don't put so much pressure on your relationship. Work on yourself. Become the best version of yourself. Be high value. Know exactly what you want and what you do not tolerate, and never lower your standards for these type of men. If you work on yourself and you dig holes, things tend to fall in place. Okay, ladies? So with that being said, I love you. Take care and peace.